Good evening and welcome to Prime Edition. Now tonight, the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition has called off the Wednesday protests. Why? I'll be telling you in a few. This, of course, as former president, retired president, that is Uhuru Kenyatta, denies funding the Azimio la Umoja demonstration, says his family should be kept out of politics as he is now retired and enjoying his retirement. You have details lined up for you. But first things first, the highlights. Change of tact. Azimio turns Wednesday's protests to solidarity parades in solidarity with victims of police brutality.
We will not allow people to hide under the guise of political rights and the freedoms of our constitution to cause mayhem and bloodshed in our country.
Protest at your own risk. Interior Cabinet Secretary Kindiki wants the opposition leaders and protesters. And former Mungiki leader Maina Jenga arraigned as other opposition leaders are charged and released. Lensa Odingo is our sign language interpreter. My name is John Jacob Kioria, stepping in for my colleague Tom Boyer. And of course, we start off with the news that the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition has called off its Wednesday demonstrations. Of course, it had announced on Saturday that it will resume the demonstrations on Wednesday. But now it says it will do vigils to honor the victims of police brutality. And the coalition says it suspects, or it says 50 people are dead out of the police response to the demonstrations. And that means then the country can breathe some sigh of relief as there will be no street demonstrations. Instead, the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition says it will hold vigils to honor victims of police brutality, and it will light candles in specific places across the country. Probably they will be able to announce which areas those are. But in a related story, Internal Security Cabinet Secretary Kindiki has once again warned the opposition against Wednesday's planned demonstrations over the cost of living. Kindiki said unlawful acts under the guise of demonstrations will not be tolerated. He was speaking at Kiserian in Baringo South during a visit to assess the ongoing security operation against banditry and cattle rustling who have invaded the North Rift region.
Internal Security and Coordination Cabinet Secretary Kindiki visited Kiserian in Baringo South to monitor the security operation to flush out bandits and cattle rustlers in the North Rift region that began over 4 months ago. It is here that Kindiki warned the opposition of dire consequences over Wednesday's planned anti-government protests, saying swift action will be taken against those using the protests to cause mayhem.
Vile tumewakalia ngumu hawa majambazi wa wizi wa ng'ombe na magaidi wale wa Al-Shabaab, hata wale magaidi wanaojificha kwa siasa kujaribu kuhujumu usalama wa nchi, tutawakalia ngumu.
On security in the North Rift region, Kindiki said all areas gazetted as disturbed and dangerous on 12th March 2023 remain so.
No member of the public is allowed to access those areas. They are security areas. Any person found there will be treated as a suspect of banditry and will be dealt with accordingly.
He lauded security agencies for bringing peace in the area that had seen locals abandon their homes for about 2 years due to insecurity. He affirmed the government's commitment to improve Baringo's road infrastructure and irrigation programs to restore lasting peace in the area.
It is the first season in the last 2 years that these people have been able to farm and live in peace, and we've never had any incidents from the time we deployed here in March.
The ongoing Joint National Police and Kenya Defence Forces Maliza Uhalifu operation was launched on 12 March 2023 to flush out bandits and cattle rustlers from Korkoron and Arabar Hills, as well as Tandare Valley and other remote places in the North Rift region. Michael Mundiga for Prime Edition.
In a classic case of "it was not me," former President Uhuru Kenyatta says he is no longer in active politics and should not be associated with opposition demonstrations. The former president says though he remains a friend of opposition leader Raila Odinga, he is not bankrolling any demonstrations. He challenged those linking him with such claims to table any evidence. Speaking to editors at his residence in Nairobi, the former head of state said he is enjoying his retirement, having handed over power to the sitting government. He said his family should not be dragged into unfounded allegations.
Yeah, they know where I am 24/7, right? Why all this intimidation?
While protesting the raid at his son's residence, Uhuru questioned why security officers using a foreign registered vehicle went to allegedly retrieve duly licensed arms without following due procedure. The former president, who termed the raid a charade, said it was suspect, claiming the security officials were out to fabricate charges against his son. He said his two sons own a total of 6 firearms, duly licensed for self-protection, and security officers attached to them were withdrawn immediately. He vacated office despite his plea that they be given a year to settle. Uhuru claimed the raid targeted him. The former president said he is ready and willing to engage with President William Ruto in the event that he reaches out for the benefit of the country. He said he has held talks with opposition chief Raila Odinga regarding opposition-led protest, but Raila maintains he is fighting to lower the cost of living. Speaking on Jubilee politics, the former head of state said he will not hand over the party to imposters, but is ready to relinquish his position in a procedural manner.
Former Mungiki leader Maina Jenga was on Monday arraigned before Makadara Law Courts and charged with 5 counts. His whereabouts had remained scanty following his arrest 5 days ago at the Olosurutia area in Kajiado County, alongside 2 people at his father's home. Details of this and more with Ruth Wamboi.
Monday was a busy day of arraignment in Kenyan courts of individuals suspected of engaging in demonstrations. At Makadara Locos, Maina Njenga, who had been concealed for 5 days, was availed here. According to the charge sheet, Maina and 2 others were found in possession of 14 machetes, 24 Maasai swords, 46 rungus, 3 djembe sticks, narcotics, with the intent to incite members of the public to violence and organizing unlawful assembly.
The prosecution reasonably apprehends that if the accused person is released, he is likely to continue committing these offenses to the detriment of the public. Because we all know what the court takes judicial notice of what was happening in the country last week. There was chaos everywhere.
Defense lawyers put up a spirited fight, stating that the charges against Maina had been duplicated.
The police have this abnormal habit of confiscating people's phones so that they incapacitate them from even communicating with their lawyers, with their doctors, with their family, with their wives, with their husbands.
The Constitution protects them through the presumption of innocence. So they are presumed innocent until this trial is concluded.
And it is unheard of that in any jurisdiction in the world that anyone has ever been denied bail because they are influential.
However, the efforts to have him released on Monday hit a snag after the Chief Magistrate Francis Kioria said he will rule on a pre-bail application tomorrow.
And that article is very clear that such commissions and independent offices are about to cooperate with the perpetual succession and seal.
We shall overcome.
Meanwhile, at Milimani Locos, Mathare MP Anthony Oluoch and Makongeni MCA Peter Imatuok were released on 100,000 cash bail each.
The point I'm making, Your Honor, is that we are sliding back and the court is remaining as the only institution Kenyans can come before.
The legislators denied 2 counts of mobilizing members of the public to commit subversive activities and mobilizing youth to cause the chaos witnessed in parts of Nairobi. At Mombasa Locos Kilifi County Assembly Speaker Teddy Mwambire, his aide Victor Katana, Kilifi South MP Ken Chonga, and Kilifi Senator Stewart Mazayo were also released. And Digital Strategies and Jubilee Party Deputy SG Pauline Njoroge and 2 others have finally been charged at Malindi Law Courts. Pauline and 2 others were on Monday arraigned in court after their arrest last week for allegedly possessing narcotics.
As I pen off, during the argument of this application, the applicant through the ODPP and from the bar appealed what was said to be a holding charge or a draft charge.
She was released on a free bond. After lengthy submission from the defense and the prosecution, the court now retires to deliberate on the ruling of the bail application for Maina and his co-accused. From Makadara Law Courts, I'm Ruth Wamboi.
Here's something interesting. A section of televangelists has defended the live broadcasting of miracles as they happened during church services, appearing before the Senate ad hoc committee probing the Shakahola tragedy. The clerics argued that miracles occur spontaneously and cannot be controlled. Senators had alleged that some unscrupulous members of the clergy were faking miracles during live television broadcasts to swindle unsuspecting followers. Giverson Minor has a report.
You just make the presentation.
Bishop Margaret Wanjiru of Jesus is Alive Ministries and representatives of self-proclaimed prophet Dr. David Awuor of the Ministry of Repentance and Holiness on Monday honored the invitation of the Senate ad hoc committee probing the Shakahola deaths.
So anybody who preaches and puts a M-Pesa number, we need to question. Those are the early signs to show that they are exploiting people.
Soon a heated debate as to whether live televising of miracles is ethical ensued.
Would you be okay with the recommendation that this committee carries that miracles, live transmission of miracles be banned like they do in Nigeria?
Live coverage, first of all, exposes the lies and should be encouraged. The live broadcast of the miracles should be encouraged.
Yes.
Because everyone watching can tell that this is not edited.
Yes.
This is not photoshopped. This is true.
We cannot ban the broadcasting of live miracles because none of us has control of when and how they will happen.
The senators alleging that fake miracles televised by televangelist Paul Mackenzie could have lured hundreds of desperate Shakahola victims to their deaths.
The men of the cloth have been captured live, rehearsing under the watch of the boys in blue before the main service. And after the main service, it's clear what happened.
Well, if a miracle has happened, we involved the doctors from Kenya who are registered by the Kenya Medical Practitioners Board to confirm whether truly a miracle happened.
Both Bishop Wanjiru and Prophet Awuor's representatives rejected proposal of theological training for religious leaders and regulation of the church by the state.
It would be tricky and not in line with the Bible for the state quite to supervise church or provide laws that guide manner, how and who to lead in religious practice.
One of our pastors, who has a very large church, did not even go to school. So now where do we start? Do we start by taking them to primary, then secondary, then certificate or diploma? No, they are doing a very good job in their mother tongue.
They, however, noted that Mackenzie should be treated as a criminal. Over 425 Shakahola deaths have been reported, while the number of those missing stands at 613. Giverson Minor, Prime Edition.
Time for us to take our first breather on Prime Edition. But of course, when we come back with more news lined up for you, including what is happening in business and sports.
Cheza Loto Moto. Sasa unaweza jishindia instantly na Loto Moto. Dial *570# wakati wowote, siku yoyote ya wiki na mahali popote. Dial *570#. Kisha chagua moja kati ya games za Loto Moto. Weka stakes zako 50 shillings, 300, 500, 2,000 shillings. The bigger your stake, the greater or the bigger your prizes. Cheza mara kadhaa na kumbuka, cheza responsibly. 18 years and above.
Cheza Loto Moto.
We have a lot of stories lined up for you. A lot was happening over the weekend.
Story Sourcer is a program that is set such that it delivers evenings of live multimedia storytelling in front of a live audience. Paco and the Urban Plant Band, who were in Nairobi for the very first time, took center stage.
Mama dream. Hapa kazi tu tunapiga kujijenga. Kuna jela noma sana.
Welcome back. You're watching Prime Edition. The Ministry of Labour and Social Protection has released 8 billion shillings to about 1 million elderly persons across the country under the Inua Jamii program. Principal Secretary, State Department for Social Protection and Senior Citizens Affairs, Joseph Mutahi, assured the beneficiaries that there will be no more delays in future disbursements, as the government is committed to ensuring the most vulnerable in society are cushioned and their livelihoods improved.
It was all smiles for elderly persons in Kiambu County. Each received 8,000 shillings, being allowances for the months of March, April, May and June under the Inua Jamii programs. 42,000 beneficiaries from Kiambu County received 337 million shillings. They are among 1.04 million senior citizens who will receive this stipend.
Na sasa zimekamilika, zimelipwa zote. Tulikuwa tumeagizwa tutalipwa 16,000. Tukalipwa 8 mwezi jana. Sasa tumelipwa zile zingine. Kwa hivyo hakuna deni imebaki. Tunashukuru sana serikali hii ya Ruto na Kachagwa kwa vile wanatutendea sisi wazee.
Tulikuwa tumechelewa zaidi ya miezi 8, kwa hivyo tulikuwa na njaa sana. Tukaribu mwaka jana, mwezi jana tukaribu 8,000. Sasa amemalizia. Mungu amusaidie.
The government is in talks with Telco Safaricom to establish a new model of disbursement where the beneficiaries will be paid via M-Pesa.
We want to pay them via M-Pesa. We are in talking terms with the M-Pesa CEO, and we are still organizing the system to make sure that we be paying this money through M-Pesa. Of course, from the banks, this money will be done as our last mile to the beneficiaries or at their comfort of where they will be.
Also in the pipeline is the registration of 500,000 more elderly persons who are not in the pension scheme. Sarafina Robi for Prime Edition.
The shift focus to education matters now. Curriculum developers, implementers and other education stakeholders under the African Curriculum Association are being challenged to come up with courses that will ensure Africa catches up with the developed world academically. Higher Education Principal Secretary Dr. Beatrice Inyangala observed Kenya has already begun education reforms with the implementation of a competency-based curriculum.
The fourth edition of the African Curriculum Association Conference kicked off Monday at the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development in Nairobi. Education stakeholders brainstorming best approaches to curriculum development for the benefit of the African continent.
We shall be in a position to craft ways of improving our curricula to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote long life learning opportunities for all for the benefit of the children of Africa.
They are called to ensure inclusive and equitable education and lifelong learning opportunities for all.
Kenya is on course to phasing out the 844 syllabus following the rollout of the competency-based curriculum. KICD has already completed the course for senior secondary school.
We have a curriculum where learners get knowledge, skills and values to address the problems that confront them at various stages. And we are not giving them knowledge, values and skills that they will use 20 years to come, that they can use today.
Baby Junior Sagini's cousin, Alex Ochogo, has been sentenced to 40 years imprisonment for gouging out his eyes. Sagini's aunt, that is Paspika Nyakerario, and grandmother Rael Nyakerario were also sentenced to 10 and 5 years in jail respectively by Kisii Senior Resident Magistrate Christine Ogweno. Regretting that the victim had been permanently impaired and unable to realize his future career, the magistrate implored humanitarian organizations not to abandon the 3-year-old baby.
The discourse above, I arrive at the following decision to be an appropriate sentence in the circumstances. I'll start with the third accused person, Rael Nyakerario Mayeka. She's sentenced to serve 5 years imprisonment. For the second accused person, Pacifica Nyakerario Ochogo, sentenced to serve 10 years imprisonment. However, for the first accused person, who was a muscle behind the offense here, he's sentenced to serve 40 years imprisonment. Right of appeal, 14 days.
Justice finally for baby Sagini, but then one would argue there's no justice that is enough to restore his sight, bearing in mind he's only 3 years old and he doesn't have his sight. Now, 87% of Kenyans are aware of the contents of the Finance Act 2023, whose implementation was suspended by the High Court. This is according to a survey conducted by research and consulting firm Infotrak. Infotrak research manager Javen Wanyingo said 2,400 Kenyans aged over 18 from all 47 counties were interviewed for the survey conducted between the 3rd to the 8th of July this year. Key issues of concern raised by Kenyans are the high cost of living, high levels of unemployment, quality of education, and the cost of doing business.
Whether Kenyans are aware of the Finance Act of 2023, we can report 87% are aware, but 13% are not aware of this Finance Act. Region-wise, where is it higher in terms of awareness? Nairobi and Nyanza had, and of course Rift Valley, each region recorded 89% awareness of the Finance Act, but the least was Western at 84%. We went to the key issues of concern. What concerns the citizen as of the date of 3rd to 8th of July? The three most highly mentioned reasons was the high cost of living, followed by unemployment, and the third one was quality of education at 20%. And we wanted to find out the opinion on the cost of living. And 61% mentioned that it is very high, 61%. Then at 26% mentioned it is high. 9% mentioned it is average. 2% mentioned it is low. And another 2% mentioned it is very low.
There's some very good news here for wazee wa kijiji. The National Assembly Budget and Appropriations Committee has endorsed the allocation of 4 billion shillings annually as allowances for village elders. The Ndindi Nyoro-led committee approved the publication of a National Government Coordination Amendment Bill, which, if adopted by Parliament, will see each village elder receiving at least 7,000 shillings per month.
The National Government Coordination Amendment Bill, sponsored by Kibwezi West MP Mwengi Motuse, seeks to compel the government to remunerate village elders for their role in coordinating government agenda. In the proposed legislation endorsed by the National Assembly Budget and Appropriations Committee, each village elder will get a monthly allowance of 4,000 shillings for 4 meetings that should be held with the chief, a transport allowance of 2,000 shillings per month, and airtime allowance of 1,000 shillings per month have also been factored.
Basically, we require about between 4 billion and 5 billion Kenya shillings to pay them every year. We are proposing that they be paid 1,000 shillings per sitting, and they can have a sitting every week. So that those are 4 sittings in a week. That will be 4,000 shillings.
The Kibwezi West MP, defending the legislative proposal, said the stipend will enhance coordination of government programs.
We start with the village elders, then another time we move to the Nyumba Kumi, so that the entire national government system on the ground is remunerated, and therefore government services can be received, including security, arbitration and ADR services that they provide in a more efficient manner.
Since we all appreciate the work these people are doing, I think it is time now we implemented the proposal to appreciate them either through a token of appreciation, through an allowance, or even through a salary.
The National Assembly Budget and Appropriations Committee also supported allocation of 258 million shillings annually for promotion of national public awareness on sexual offences. The committee endorsed the publication of Sexual Offences Amendment Bill by Kisii Woman Representative Donya Aburi that seeks to enhance justice for victims of sexual offences.
Someone can ask, why spend 258 million in a year to do awareness of the same? On HIV and AIDS, if they contract these diseases, it's left entirely on the government to provide the ARVs. But when we make these things aware to our people, the country will even make more, because we have a productive and energetic society.
Visho Kiwashira, Prime Edition.
The Performing Arts Fraternity is in mourning following the demise of Omar Salim alias Baba Zero. His son Jay Salim says Baba Zero died on Sunday afternoon following complications related to pneumonia and high blood pressure. He was aged 84. Baba Zero will be remembered for the roles he played in Vitimbi, Vioja Mahakamani, Je, Huni Ungwana, and Kinyonga comedies that aired on Kenya Broadcasting Corporation television. His remains were laid to rest at the Kariokor Muslim Cemetery, where his colleagues eulogized him as a skilled actor. He leaves behind 2 sons.
Huyu ni mzee ambaye nimesoma mengi sana kutoka kwake, na ile kitu ambayo ningependa kuambia jamii, tutawaambia pole. Hata sisi tumepotelewa, tumempoteza mmoja wetu ambaye amekuwa msanii.
Tumefanya naye miaka mingi, tangu zamani tumemkuta katika tasnia hii, ametufunza mengi na sisi mengi tumejifunza kutoka kwake, na hii ni siku yake ya mwisho duniani. Ni kila mtu njia ni hiyo hiyo.
Nilijua mzee Zuberi tangu miaka 60 na kitu nyuma, kwa sababu nilimjua wakati akiwa na kipindi kimoja kinaitwa cha Mzee Pembe. Kinaitwa Mzee Pembe. Baadaye akaja kwenye kipindi kinaitwa Zuberi. Baadaye akaja kwenye kipindi kinaitwa Vioja Mahakamani ya kwanza.
Kwa hivyo huyu jambazi sugu kabisa, huyu Dina pamoja na binti yake saizi amekuwa anti mara moja hii.
Hawa wanawake waliokuzunguka sidhani kama wanafahamu umuhimu wako.
Kaa mbali haswa na Dingu. Unisikia?
Sitaki issue ya Jackie tena. Kama una issue na yeye, go handle it on your own.
The show that keeps you updated on everything you need to know about technology.
Digital resilience is about organizations being able to continue to operate
despite negative impacts that they've experienced.
The subject digital transformation, we keep talking about it, but very many people fail to understand that.
Twitter's removal of blue text is forcing accounts to find new ways to prove authenticity as concerns over copycats mount. At the same time, Elon Musk has given blue text to a few celebrities who didn't ask for one, such as writer Stephen King and Larry Madowo, for free.
Take on Tech every Monday at 10:30 p.m. on KBC Channel 1. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. You're watching the Prime Edition, and a section of school heads from Kiambu County has called for an end to the opposition-led anti-government protests, saying they will largely affect the school calendar. And in Makueni County, members of a Catholic church are overjoyed by the establishment of a new diocese in Wote. Those and more stories in our county's roundup.
Speaking during Thika West Education Day held at Chania Boys High School in Kiambu County, school has noted protests and chaos are not only affecting learning, but setting a bad example to the next generation.
Whatever is being given out in the TV and other areas is actually getting into the children of this country, and therefore it is likely to have an effect in the future.
We don't want any interruption anywhere. Ya masomo kusikia kuna watoto wengine waendi shule kwa sababu barabara zimefungwa kwa sababu ya maandamano. Tunataka watoto wetu wapatiwe nafasi wafanye mtihani yao bila any interruption.
And Viga County Governor Wilbur Tichilo has imposed a ban on official travel for county officials, alleging that it significantly contributes to misappropriation of the county's resources.
I will not allow unnecessary trouble. Because one travel for one officer from here to Nairobi by air, stay in a 5-star hotel and back, costs not less than 50,000.
In Nairobi County, tenants and landlords of a section of residential houses in Timboroa Lane, California and Eastleigh are worried after a night attack by armed goons who they say were trying to forcefully evict them. They claim private developers are claiming ownership of the property. Elsewhere, more than 10,000 trees have been planted in the Kimondi Forest in Nandi County under the Mama Doing Good initiative spearheaded by First Lady Rachel Ruto.
Tuko na jukumu sisi zote. Kwanza hapa Nandi kuna mvua ya kutosha. Tupande miti wakati wote na tuchunge ile miti. Ili miti itupatie mali.
Mashule yote ya Elgeyo Marakwet County, ya Nandi County tukipitia katika Yala Water Fund na zile za wasilisho sisi kama kampuni za maji hapa katika North Rift tutaweza kusupply hizo tree seedlings.
Finally, Catholic faithful in Wote Makueni County are celebrating the creation of a new diocese which they say will help them in their spiritual journey. On Saturday, Pope Francis appointed Bishop Paul Kariuki as the first bishop of the diocese carved out from Machakos.
To create job opportunities for Kiambu, we shall need drivers, maybe for various departments. We shall also need secretaries, accountants, and so on and so forth.
He became the voice or the face of a voice of caution in Kenya throughout the COVID-19 global pandemic. This week on the cabinet, we focus on Mutahi Kagwe, served as Information Minister in President Mwai Kibaki's government and the Minister for Health in President Uhuru Kenyatta's administration.
In 2020, President Uhuru Kenyatta reshuffled his cabinet and nominated Mutahi Kagwe to take charge of the Ministry of Health, barely a month after the first cases of COVID-19 were reported in China. Kagwe was named chairperson of the newly established National Emergency Response Committee. The commission was tasked with coordinating capacity building of medical personnel and professionals for quick, effective response to suspected cases, coordinating national and county government health facilities for isolation and treatment, and ensuring surveillance at all ports and points of entry in Kenya. In 2006 to 2007, Kagwe served as Minister of Information, Transport and Communication in President Mwai Kibaki's cabinet. While heading the ICT docket under Kibaki, Kagwe spearheaded the construction of the Transitional East African Marine System, the first fiber optic project in East Africa, which heralded the digital revolution experienced in the country. It was also during his tenure as the ICT minister that Kenya's flagship mobile money transfer platform, M-Pesa, was launched. The transformative platform quickly set the pace for economic growth and development. He returned to the cabinet during Uhuru's tenure under the 2010 constitution, a new dispensation in which the bulk of cabinet secretaries was drawn from non-political individuals. In 2013, he was elected as Nyeri's first senator. Kagwe made a comeback after losing his Senate seat in Nyeri County in the 2017 general election, bringing with him the experience he had acquired during his stint in Kibaki's cabinet. In 2002 to 2007, Kagwe was a member of parliament for Mukurweini constituency, during which time he chaired the powerful parliamentary committee on finance, trade, tourism and planning. He also served as the chairman of the Multimedia University Council. He was awarded the prestigious Elder of the Golden Hat honor for his exemplary service. Jackie Wambiru, The Cabinet.
Welcome back. I hope that you've had a lovely Monday. Let's take a look at today's business news. Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua is calling for an overhaul of existing financial systems for the agricultural sector, saying they are disadvantaging African countries, yet they are needed better funding. While addressing a high-level session on financing food systems transformation during the ongoing United Nations Food System Summit in Rome, Italy, the Deputy President said the continent continued to face challenges frustrating agricultural production, calling for favorable funding systems for the sector.
Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua wants the development partners to remodel the current agriculture financing systems.
Just come out of the worst drought in 40 years after 5 subsequent failed seasons. And therefore, we are calling upon the world, we are calling upon our partners all over the world to look at the issues of the African continent from a different perspective.
He says the current systems has hampered production, further exposing the continent to food deficits in light of the frequent droughts occasioned by climate change.
Present financial architecture has been very disadvantageous to the African continent that faces huge challenges. Like my brother here, my neighbor from Somalia has explained. The African continent needs to be looked at differently because of the various challenges.
While addressing a high-level session on financing food system transformation during the ongoing United Nations Food System Summit in Rome, Italy, the Deputy President said Kenya is implementing turnaround strategies in various subsectors, especially those that will impact the people at the bottom of the economic pyramid to increase production.
Internal interventions in terms of financial inclusivity to make sure that the people at the bottom of the pyramid are part and parcel of food production so that we can attain food security and our children can be able to go to school. We have a very serious engagement with our international friends and partners because we have a budget deficit and we cannot, as a country, be in a position to single-handedly finance our requirements.
The DP was also hosted by the Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni to a working lunch that was attended by Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, Somalian President Hassan Sheikh Mohammed, and other leaders from the Horn of Africa. Benson Ruba reporting for Prime Edition.
The government is banking on programs to upskill the youth through technical institutions to meet the current demands in the job market and address unemployment. Technical, Vocational Education and Training Principal Secretary Esther Moria says the government is reviewing the curriculum and retraining trainers to support this.
Kenyans without jobs were 2.97 million as at December last year, which the government is seeking to correct by improving digital skills.
We are breaking down our curricula into skills set so that whatever big certificate a student has, they will actually, we are looking into skilling the youth into all the skill sets in that particular subject that they are learning.
Speaking during the launch of the Africa Tech Challenge at the Technical University of Kenya, TVET Principal Secretary said the government has embarked on the modernization of technical institutions. The challenge-themed role of engineering in driving industrialization in Africa will focus on the rapidly developing construction industry, notably the design component.
When we organize such fora where people come to compete with their skills, students are encouraged to come because it is within the STEM courses that we actually have the doing training and the doing skills.
The challenge targets to impart contestants drawn from Kenya, Uganda, Ghana, Egypt, Zambia, Tanzania, Cote d'Ivoire, and Zimbabwe with skills to help create more than 10,000 jobs. Regina Manyara reporting for Prime Edition.
Equity Group says it will be investing 2% of its revenue in sustainable projects. Speaking at the launch of Equity Group's 2022 Sustainability Report, Equity Group CEO James Mwangi said the company will, through sustainability, governance, social and environmental considerations, contribute in enhancing food, healthcare services and education. An era where environmental challenges are more pressing than ever, sustainable development and climate action should be at the core of every organization. This was the message at the launch of Equity Group's 2022 Sustainability Report. James Mwangi says Equity Group is investing heavily in sustainable projects and calls for more collaboration in enhancing food security, healthcare services and education.
When you combine governance, social and environmental considerations, then you really fit into a sweet spot of sustainability, making sure that you meet your needs without threatening future generations from meeting their needs.
We must balance between environmental considerations, social considerations. We must fund them at the right scale. We must make partnerships that make sure that we can create an enduring world.
The report highlights pay parity across the organization, where it indicates men are still getting paid more than women doing the same job in Kenya and Tanzania at 52% as compared to DRC, South Sudan, Rwanda and Uganda, an issue that is closely being monitored to ensure pay parity continues to improve across the group.
Your efforts inspire us all to unite and create meaningful change for the benefit of our planet and future generations. There are more partnership opportunities ahead and encourage you to explore applying for the Green Climate Fund.
The report indicates that Equity Group planted 21.8 million trees by the end of 2022 and trained farmers on climate-smart agriculture. Speakers urged financial institutions to consider collaboration with counties in the financing locally led climate action program.
Cheza Loto Moto. Sasa unaweza jishindia instantly na Loto Moto. Dial star 570 hash. Wakati wowote, siku yoyote ya wiki na mahali popote. Dial star 570 hash. Kisha chagua moja kati ya games za Loto Moto. Weka stakes zako 50 shillings, 300, 500, 2,000 shillings. The bigger your stake, the greater or the bigger your prizes. Cheza mara kadhaa na kumbuka, cheza responsibly. 18 years and above.
Cheza Loto Moto.
Kwa hivyo huyu jambazi sugu kabisa huyu Dina pamoja na binti yake saizi amekuwa anti mara moja hii.
Hawa wanawake waliokuzunguka sidhani kama wanafahamu umuhimu wako.
Kaa mbali haswa na Dingo. Unisikia?
Sitaki issue ya Jackie tena. Kama una issue na yeye, go handle it on your own.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with Prime Edition. Now, Kenya is targeting to create 1 million jobs through business processing and outsourcing in 3 years. ICT and Digital Economy Principal Secretary Engineer John Tanui says the government is working on a raft of policy proposals that will make Kenya a business processing and outsourcing hub in Africa. The PS says the government has prioritized the implementation of Konza Technopolis and the Digital Learning Program as flagships projects to deepen ICT services in Kenya.
Carbon trading refers to a market-based mechanism aimed at reducing greenhouse gas emissions to combat climate change by creating a system where companies can buy and sell carbon credits representing the right to emit a specific amount of greenhouse gas emissions. However, the unregulated sale of carbon credits cost Kenyans.
The global BPO market is estimated to be valued at more than $262 billion, with African countries continuing to emerge as the next growth frontiers. The sector is crucial in developing artificial intelligence systems that power the automotive, retail, agricultural, and food technology sectors. However, players in the sector have decried operating barriers that have created a chilling effect on the growth of business process outsourcing BPO sector. State Department for Information, Communications Technology and Digital Economy Principal Secretary Engineer John Tanui says the government has embarked on strategic processes to clear operating barriers facing players in the business process outsourcing sector. Tanui says the government will formulate the necessary policies and regulations to accelerate the growth of players in the sector with the aim of creating 1 million jobs by the year 2026. Speaking during a tour of the summer BPO along Mombasa Road, Tanui says the ministry is also working to establish more than 1,450 digital hubs in every ward countrywide. The hubs will be linked by a robust fiber optic backbone infrastructure to help boost ongoing capacity building efforts to facilitate more than 1 million jobs in the ICT sector. Summer Vice President of Global Delivery Ann Peace Alwala has welcomed the government's plan, saying it will help grow the sector and make Kenya an African BPO hub. Alwala says the BPO sector is crucial in the development of artificial intelligence systems that power the automotive, retail, agricultural and food technology sectors. Frederick Muki for Prime Edition.
Now, we apologize for that technical hitch at the beginning of that story. Now, Kenyans who plant trees to conserve the environment stand to gain up to 40% of revenue generated by selling carbon credits if the carbon credit trading and benefit sharing draft bill is enacted into law in its current form. The bill, sponsored by Lesamis MP Joseph Lekunton, also seeks to establish a carbon credit trading and benefit sharing authority that will, among others, ensure fair and equitable benefit sharing among stakeholders.
Carbon trading refers to a market-based mechanism aimed at reducing greenhouse gas emissions to combat climate change by creating a system where companies can buy and sell carbon credits representing the right to emit a specific amount of greenhouse gas emissions. However, the unregulated sale of carbon credits cost Kenyans billions of shillings in unrealized revenues. A bill currently before the National Assembly's Select Committee on Budget and Appropriations is seeking to change this through introduction of a regulatory framework.
The thing that used to kill us is that there's no formula for it. You know, it's an income manner that gives you money, but you don't know how to distribute it fairly. For even communities who say now we'll own this forest, no one will cut a tree. Or people coming in central Kenya or whatever part of Kenya to say, we will plant trees. We will, as if we are 1,000 members, each member will plant 1,000 trees. You become an association to get yourself some money.
For all renewable energy projects, the sharing ratio will be as follows. Project owner gets 40%, community gets 33%, national and relevant county government each get 10%, the managing authority will get 5%, while the remaining 2% goes to the National Research Fund.
And the people who pay you for that are the polluters. It's a company in China, it's a company in South Africa, it's a company somewhere that pollutes the air. So for them to correct that anomaly, to correct that amount of carbon they have emitted they must get an equivalent of a company that produces the same but of clean energy. You see, so there are two rewards. You are saving your planet and you're also getting something out of it. So it's an incentive for you to save your planet.
Cryptocurrency traders are also set to benefit from state protection from fraudsters, while the government generates tax revenue if the Capital Markets Authority Amendment Bill is enacted into law in its current form.
So many Kenyans are already trading on digital currency, but there is no framework or there is no regulatory body that is already regulating it. So an approximate of several billions are actually exchanging hands on a daily basis. But because we have not been able to come up with a regulation that regulates it, then it continues on a black market. So this proposal is proposing for the government to regularize it, allow people to trade freely, and then now it allows us to know how much money actually are we trading on digital currency.
Trevor Ngende for Prime Edition.
Thank you so much, I think.
Now that marks the end of business news for tonight, but you can find more stories on our website at kbc.co.ke. My name is Wairimo Jenga. Have a good night. See you tomorrow for more business news. Sports Update is up next.
The stage is set for a showcase of global talent as Kenya hosts the World Rugby Under-20 Trophy for the second time from the 15th to 30th of July at the Nyayo National Stadium. This year's edition will see 8 teams battle over 4 match days for a place in the World Rugby Under-20 Championship in 2024. Catch the matches live on KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
No member of this family should be working for this company now. And who else to trust if not family? Are you one of Joel's sons?
I need you to keep a close eye on Nick. I don't trust him fully.
He's nothing close to the truth.
Nick, baby. You've never been so big on character. What's changed?
Can I talk to you in private?
Yeah.
You cannot protect us all the time.
None of you can afford to be caught up in this mess.
I can wash my hands and let you handle this mess by yourself with Akina Jazz and your teeth.
There's someone trying to bring us down. Us?
Why do you think I'm here, Nick? Alice stole our data and document. Do you have any proof of that? You're working on it.
This is a matter of life and death.
A very good evening to you. My name is Daniel Wahome and welcome to Prime Edition Sport. Football Kenya Federation and the Machakos County Government have signed a partnership deal that will enable the setting up of a football technical center in Machakos. The center will comprise 3 FIFA standard football pitches, offices and accommodation facilities.
Machakos County Governor Wavinya Ndeti said the partnership deal will benefit the youths from the county as they will undertake free training. Wavinya revealed that the National Football Technical Center will be constructed on 20 acres of land.
This project will benefit our county in various ways, including youth football development. Youth will get a chance to showcase their talents, capacity building, high quality training will be offered for upcoming coaches and referees, among other football officials.
FKF President Nick Mwendwa said the facility is meant for training coaches, referees and young footballers.
Our youth national teams now have a home in Machakos. All of them. Boys and girls. Not only that, our schools and our schools championship that we are starting now can come to Machakos and call it home. This facility is about developing our kids under 13, under 16, so that we can have a bright future in football.
Mwendwa noted that the 33-year lease contract for the land is worth 600 million shillings and the construction of the technical center will take 2 years.
I'm looking forward even earlier to coming back here and having a bigger event than this, with football on the pitch, with kids playing, real kids playing. After putting on paper a contract worth 600 million, FKF President Nick Mwendwa and Machakos Governor Wavinya Ndeti have stated that the construction of the 3 stadiums will kick off after 6 months. For Prime Edition Sports, I'm Daniel Mwendwa.
Thank you, Mwendwa, for that report. Now, the Kenya Under-20 rugby team head coach Curtis Olago expects his charges to give their best when they take on Hong Kong, China tomorrow in their final Pool B clash of the World Rugby Under-20 Trophy Tournament at the Nyayo National Stadium. In other matches, the USA will face Zimbabwe, Spain will take on Samoa, and Scotland will be up against Uruguay. The matches will be televised live on KBC Channel 1 and Y254.
The national under-20 rugby team Chipo will face Hong Kong, China in the World Rugby Under-20 Trophy in their last pool match on Tuesday. Chipo lost their first match of the tournament 34-25 to former champions Samoa before going down 48-18 to Spain last week. Victory over Hong Kong, China will see them finish third, leaving them in contention for the 5th place playoff next Sunday. A loss will relegate Chipo to the 7th place playoff. Meanwhile, Eddie Wabungu returns to the match day squad after missing Thursday's action. The other inclusions are Alvin Wamburi, Brian Makaya and James Sinalo. The winner of the tournament will be promoted to the Under-20 World Championships in 2024. For Prime Edition, I'm Sila Unyango.
10 a.m. USA versus Zimbabwe on KBC Channel 1, and at noon, Kenya versus Hong Kong, China and this is also going to be on KBC Channel 1. The other matches on Y254. Now, the national under-19 cricket team will face Sierra Leone tomorrow in their second match of the ongoing ICC Under-19 Men's Cricket World Cup qualifiers at the Dar es Salaam Gymkhana grounds in Tanzania. Kenya had to settle for a point against Tanzania after their opening game was rained off at the University of Dar es Salaam grounds.
The game's umpires halted Kenya's opening game against Tanzania after the rain became unbearable just inside the 14th over of the game that Kenya had initially won the toss and opted to bowl. The Tanzania batsmen were Pascal Akri with 8 runs from 34 balls and Karim Rashid, who had just entered the fold after mid-pace bowler Vaibhav Naresh had taken out Robert Baraka, who was on 9 runs from 17 balls faced. The Kenyan team is being led by head coach Josephat Irungu and ex-Kenyan international Peter Ogondo. Kenya is among 5 other nations, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, Namibia, Uganda and host Tanzania, who are gunning for the sole ticket to the World Cup finals in Sri Lanka next year. Uganda and Namibia got their place after topping Africa Division 1 qualifiers in Rwanda last September, while Kenya got their place following the win in the Africa Division 2 qualifiers in Nigeria. The World Cup qualifiers will end on Sunday in Tanzania.
Kingori Mwangi for Prime Edition Sports.
Come this side. Okay. So, from the crease to the fairways, where Kiambu Golf Club member Michael Karanga emerged as the overall winner of the 103rd three-day Barry Cup Amateur Golf Open Tournament held at the Par 71 Mombasa Golf Course. 78 golfers took part in the annual tournament, which for the first time was played as a 54-hole event to enable the elite amateur golfers and world amateur golf ranking points.
The three-day event was for the first time played as 54-hole event to enable the elite amateur golfers an opportunity to earn world amateur golf ranking points. Since the Barry Cup was donated by one of the founder members of Mombasa Golf Club, Perry Berry, in 1913, the tournament has always been played over 36 holes in 2 days. However, this year, the Kenya Golf Union decided to upgrade all 26 national events to 54-hole and over in order to enable the elite amateurs to earn world golf ranking points. Kiambu-based golfer Michael Kiranga posted 64 gross to win the title ahead of Nairobi Lejima John and Uganda's Godfrey Nabuga, who came in second and third respectively.
I feel honored being the breaking the course record from -5 and giving it a chance to -7. I think it is an honor being in Mombasa and bringing the course record back. I think my aim today was just to keep on fit.
The Kenya Amateur Golf Championship events have prize money. Like the young amateur golfers will be earning a living in this sporting activity is credit to deserve. Without the tireless efforts of our members of staff who have worked round the clock to ensure the success of this tournament, we would not be witnessing this colorful event.
Joyce Wanjiru was the top-placed lady golfer at position 5. The 2023 winner got a cash prize of 92,500 shillings and a cup with the top 20 amateur golfers benefiting from a total of 400,000 shillings cash award at the end of the tournament. Kingori Mwangi for Prime Edition Sports.
Now, across our borders, Captain Alexandra Pop's squad, brace as Germany began their Women's World Cup campaign with a convincing 6-0 win over Morocco in Melbourne, Australia. In another match, Ari Bogut scored a hat-trick on her World Cup debut to help Brazil thrash debutants Panama 4-0 at the Heinmarsch Stadium.
That's a weak clearance from Mirabet. And the Germans will come once again.
Germany, who are heavy favourites to top Group H, thrashed debutants Morocco 6-0 in their opening encounter at the Women's World Cup. Alexandra Pop, who was ruled out of the Euro 2022 final through injury, made her mark with 2 clinical headers in the first half.
Alexandra Pop.
Clara Bull pounced on a rebound shortly after halftime to extend Germany's lead before Morocco Hanan Ait El Haj and Yasmin Rabet poked into their own net on separate occasions. Germany continued to cause problems and completed the rout when substitute Lea Schuler added a 6th, firing it into an empty net after a swift counter-attack on the right. In another match, Ari Bogut scored the first hat-trick of the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup as Brazil cruised to victory over Panama. The winger netted a double in the first half and set Abia Zanerato shortly after the interval with a back heel before heading home the 4th goal. The result means Brazil maintained their perfect record of winning all 9 of their opening games at the Women's World Cup.
And that story from the FIFA Women's World Cup brings an end to the sport. Remember, catch you tomorrow bright and early at 10 a.m. USA versus Zimbabwe, and at noon it's Kenya versus Hong Kong, China, or live on KBC Channel 1 in the afternoon. Join us on Y254. Have a great evening. My name is Daniel Wahome.
Well, of course, it's time for us now to put a cap on Prime Edition. Thank you very much for joining us and, of course, keeping us company. See you tomorrow. God bless you. Have yourself a good night.